Well, hopefully you can hear me. I think my headphones are out here in the garage in the cold, and so I don't know if it's going to be echoey or not, but hopefully you can hear me. Welcome to the show. It's Monday. Um, Another start to another week. We're almost in the middle of November here, and I haven't found employment, so this is not good. Relatively speaking, it kind of sucks because I don't want to be put in a position where I'm destitute as far as income is concerned, but I applied for this government benefit. Lord willing, that'll come through, but I'm not sure if it will. Uh, I just don't want to be stressed out about it. Because who needs that? My work is here in the Word of God and dispensing it to you folks through this channel. And that's all I know right now. I have no other employment. God has employed me, so He'll provide for me, and this is how I look at it. I console my wife that way, but she doesn't get it because, of course, the stress of life, the stress of living, the stress of providing for your own house and stuff like that is a normal, relevant way to think because this is exactly where I'm at. $0. I have no income, zero income. That's okay. That's the way God has it right now. Grace and peace. I'm so glad I'm here. And God has graced me to do this show. I'm going to forego that book for a little while. Reason being, it's pretty intense. I would suggest getting that book yourself and going through it, study, because it is a good book. Resurrection, so death, resurrection, immortality, yes. By Joseph E. Kirk. He goes into real detail there. So I would say order the book yourself and go through it. I'm just going to forego it for a little while. But I found this article this morning. It's called God Shines in Our Hearts. This is awesome. In journeys often, in dangers of rivers, in dangers of robbers, in dangers of my race, in dangers of the nations, in dangers in the city, in dangers in the wilderness. This is Paul, our apostle, 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 26. The disciples in Damascus whom Saul, the Pharisee, had once come to persecute, probably risked their own lives when, under cover of darkness, they let him down in a wicker basket from an unguarded part of the city wall, possibly through the window of an overhanging house. This way of escape reminds us of Joshua's two spies, whom Rahab had let down by a cord through the window. For her house was upon the town wall. Joshua chapter 2, verse 15. In the same manner, David had once escaped when King Saul had sent messengers to his house to watch him and to slay him in the morning. 1 Samuel chapter 19, verses 11 and 12. David had been in danger before when he had fled to Samuel and later pleaded with Jonathan. He had hoped for safety, but there was none for him in the years to come. Saul of Tarsus was in a similar predicament. He had been in danger in the city of Damascus, both from his own race and from the soldiers of the nations. My wife is just coming out. That's fine. When he escaped the peril of death, there was still insecurity ahead of him, for he was going to face the dangers in the wilderness and the danger of robbers while traveling night and day. Lo, he is praying. When Saul had been called by Christ in his celestial glory, he did not immediately submit his commission to flesh and blood, but remained in prayer. And the Lord gave him 3 days' time, so he could prayerfully ponder over the words of grace, which would change his whole life. When we assume that Saul covered a distance of approximately 150 miles within a week, while traveling from Damascus to Jerusalem, we can readily see that he had ample time to prayerfully review the events of the past 3 years, the visions in which he saw the Lord, and the instructions which he was given. He knew from experience how the God of this eon blinds the apprehensions of the unbelieving, so that the illumination of the evangel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of the invisible God, does not irradiate them. He had met the one who says, out of darkness light shall be shining. 2 Corinthians 4 and 6. Though Saul may have remembered the Lord's intimation of suffering for his name's sake, Acts chapter 9, verse 16, we may assume that he was not distressed nor despairing on his lonely journey through the wild countryside, for he knew that God shines in our hearts with a view to the illumination of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. Many years later, after he had been in journeys often, he could add, now we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the transcendence of the power may be of God and not of us, in everything being afflicted but not distressed, perplexed but not despairing, persecuted but not forsaken, cast down but not perishing. Wherefore we are not despondent, but even if our outward man is decaying, nevertheless that within us is being renewed day by day. 2 Corinthians 4, 7 through 9. We may be sure that Saul's knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ had not faded away during the past 3 years, since the splendor of that celestial glory had enlightened the eyes of his heart and had continued to shine in it. Thus, this precious knowledge of God's glory as reflected by his image, the Son of his love, was indeed being renewed day by day, enabling him to remain fully engaged in his special commission. Leaving the Damascus scene, we too, like Saul, should have learned the lesson that we are called not to be successful, but to be faithful in fulfilling the service we have accepted in the Lord. Colossians 4:17. Were it not for all the dangers and the darkness around us, how would we attain to the full appreciation and the glorious gift that God shines in our hearts, in the past, right now, and in the future? So God does shine in our hearts. This is where it is. It's not the outward man that is decaying. It is the inward man being renewed day by day. And this is for all of us. This is for all of us. Here's my beautiful wife to come to see us on my video.
Was that your story, baby?
What?
That's your story?
What's my story?
What you just read? That sounds just like you.
Out of the unsearchable riches. So yeah.
You right here.
Well, that's it.
You carry God's faith so great.
That's right. That's right. I love you all. Have a beautiful Monday, and we will see you tomorrow. Grace and peace.